Hello, good morning. I hope you're all well and that you've had a good week. In my last Flosstube, which was last Saturday, I said I was going to have a new start, and I did. I worked on the little sampler on Saturday, Sunday, and on Monday I finished it. Here it is, Maryanne Broom. All cross stitch over two, with the exception of the little satin stitch border around the verse or the dedication. It says, "The Lord is thy keeper." Very simple, very to the point. So that's Maryanne Broom. Adorable sampler. I love this little border. I thought that was so pretty. Like the colours in this one as well. Now, I thought that this sampler was Norfolk from my initial investigation into it when I bought it. But when I picked it up to chart it last Saturday, I found on the back of the sampler those little stickers that you have to stick on things that says name, address and telephone number. And there was a sticker on the back, and there was a little message to say that my grandmother stitched this sampler. So Maryanne Broom stitched this in 1876, and I was thinking, gosh, a granddaughter probably wouldn't still be alive, but as there was a telephone number, I thought, why not ring it? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I rang the number, and this lady answered, and she was the granddaughter of Maryanne Broom. She was in her late 80s, but she was as sharp as anything. She said that when she moved into sheltered accommodation, she sold a lot of her possessions, and Maryanne's sampler was one of those possessions. Anyway, she told me that she knew very little about her grandmother, Maryanne, because Maryanne had died a very short time after the birth of her son. So the son was this lady's father, and he knew very little about his mother. And his father, Maryanne's husband, had died a little while after Maryanne. So the father was brought up by his oldest sister. He knew very little about his parents, so Maryanne's granddaughter knew very little about her. But it turned out that this sampler was not stitched in Norfolk, it was stitched in Bedfordshire. And going through family history records, I found out quite a bit about Maryanne. So I phoned the lady back and I told her what I had found out about her. And in the meantime, she had remembered that she had an old locket with a photograph of Maryanne in. So I'm going to pop that photograph in the video so you can see a picture of Maryanne. The lady's name was Jackie, and she was so delighted that Maryanne's sampler had been reproduced and would be shared around the world with needleworkers. So I've promised to send her a booklet once Maryanne's chart is put together. A finish meant a new start. And here is my new start. Now this is only one evening of stitching. I worked on this Tuesday night, and then since then we've been out every evening. Okay, so this is my new start. It has this really beautiful border that goes around the sampler, and then at the bottom of the sampler it has this magnificent sort of shrub growing out of it, and there's lots of big bold flowers that will be stitched around here. The sampler was stitched by a Rebecca, and for those of you who follow my floss tubes, you will recall when I showed the original of this sampler, the girl's name was Rebecca Austin. Now, Rebecca, when I bought this sampler at auction, there were some merit badges and certificates with this sampler. Rebecca had won an award for her needlework. Well, I employed a packing company to collect the lot from the auction house, and unfortunately between the auction house and the collectors and packing service, all those awards, badges and certificates were lost, which is such a shame because it would be so nice to included all of those or photographs of them in the booklet when it's finally produced. I've been looking forward to reproducing this sampler because Rebecca used some threads that were variegated, and I have been waiting for the right sampler so I can use my painter's threads. The first one I've put into the sampler is the one that's the vine, and I just couldn't believe how closely this particular thread from Painter's Thread matched the original sampler. Before I show you the threads, I just wanted to point out about this basket. Now, I don't know if this is showing clearly, but I loved how she used just rows of backstitch in the blue, and then again just above, just to add a little bit of texture to her sampler. I thought that was very, very pretty. Visually, the composition of this sampler is very appealing, but the colours are really gorgeous in this sampler. Now, I've started at the bottom because at the bottom you've got this big dominant group of flowers that use some very hot colours, and putting those type of colours together can affect the overall look. So what I have been doing is testing some of these colours to see how they are working. So that's why I've started at the bottom and I've sort of hopped around the sampler. The colours are really beautiful. Those blues are gorgeous. They go so well together. And that orange is fabulous, especially against this sort of very deep orangey red. This is a really sort of rich terracotta. Those are gorgeous and they just look so beautiful against those blues. I'm still playing with colour. The vine is being stitched in this one, which is 113 hopper, and this is painted threads. These are available in stores, both in Europe. This is actually a European thread, painted by a European company, but they are stocked in the US. You can go to Threadnuts, who are the distributors in the US, and buy direct, or you can get these from Kathy Ray, Needle in a Haystack, and I know that Hobby House are stocking these. I don't know if they've got them on their website yet, but they have brought in the full range. Why I particularly love these is that the base thread is Overa Soie, and they dye these in various different ranges of Overa Soie, including Soie Saphine, Soie 103 and Soie d'Alger and the Perlé. And the colours match across the range. So if you are stitching with Soie 103, a hopper, it is exactly the same number and name in the Saphine and the Soie d'Alger, which will make it so much easier for doing conversions. Now I have some other painter's threads ready to test. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them, but these are some of the other colours that I'm going to be experimenting with in this sampler. hopefully I'll get some more stitching done by the time of my next floss tube, and I'll be able to share with you this sampler as it grows. It's very, very beautiful. This week I would really have loved to have been sat in front of the wood burner stitching in the evenings, but we've had quite a bit of social things on. On Wednesday night we went to the quiz at the golf club with Sue of Mut Beans and her husband Mark and my husband, and we had a really lovely evening. The quiz was particularly good fun. We always have a picture round, and the picture round this month was dingbats of book titles, and I'm big into books, and I love dingbats. I love puzzles. And this is the mind of a needleworker. Now, I was very tired when I went out Wednesday because I'd been working all day at my desk, and my brain was all back in the 1830s where I'd been doing research and writing. And one of the dingbats, I knew it was Northanger Abbey. But I was so tired, I wrote down Hardanger Abbey. Honestly, that was just so stupid. I knew it wasn't right when I wrote it down, but there we go. Okay, so what else has happened this week? Well, Sue of Mut Beans, she opened her Etsy store last night, and oh my god, there's some really beautiful things in the store. She has a new range of brooches. I think they are around about, I don't know, 4 or 3 centimeters. They're, you know, they're not huge, and they're lovely to wear, but I'm getting one to put in on the inside lid of my needle cases. They're really, really beautiful. Pop along to Mut Beans on Etsy and have a look at what she has there. I've already got her new black and pearl or black and white pins. These are beautiful. I got those from Sue when she put them together initially. I haven't got a brooch yet though, but I will have before the end of today. I thought those were particularly beautiful. She also has her range of Christmas counting pins. Here we go. These are some of the ones that I've got from past years. Aren't they pretty? Love those, all so pretty. Anyway, pop along and have a look. You need to be quick with Mut Beans because things tend to sell out very quickly. I expect by Monday she'll be sold out. Talking about Christmas, last week I showed some samplers that I said were quite Christmassy, and it generated a few emails saying, what about this sampler? What about that sampler? So I thought the display today could be possible Christmas stitches. We have Maryanne Priest. That's a pretty sampler. Lots of reds and greens in that. What I love most about this, well, not most, one of the things I loved about this sampler was the way the alphabet was stitched in a triangle. I love that. That's so pretty and very Christmassy. A very popular design is Mary Snow. Here she is with this beautiful border of poinsettias. That one is very Christmassy. I love the 2 red houses as well. Christmas is about family and home. So that's a possible stitch leading up to Christmas. One of the samplers that was suggested by somebody was Eliza Nisbet, and this is a very Christmassy sampler. There we go. Now the model was stitched on a very low counter fabric because we used wool for this sampler. There it is. Scottish, of course, stitched in Edinburgh. And then the other sampler that's very Christmassy is a Amelia Jane Chandler. That's a beauty. I really enjoyed stitching that sampler. So there's just something about how this sampler flowed as I worked it. So those are some suggestions for Christmas stitching. If you think that there's another sampler in our portfolio that's Christmassy, let me know. I had a lot of emails and messages asking about the fish oils I mentioned for my dry eye. It's very apparent that a lot of needle workers suffer from dry eye, and it's probably because we work under lights through magnifiers, and when we're stitching we tend to stare at our work and therefore our blinking is reduced. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice. All I'm saying is that the fish oils, and it's omega-3, has really helped my dry eye. I used to get a lot of salt burn on the side of my eyes and it was very uncomfortable, and all of that has now stopped. It's worked for me and I've also noticed some other benefits of the omega-3 fish oils as well. This week this sampler came. Now it looks just, you know, a plain little sampler, but there is a huge backstory behind this sampler. It was worked by Anne Beresford Chamberlain in Rio de Janeiro in the October of 1822. Anne's father was the British consul in Brazil. Anne was born in Brazil and she grew up there, but she married in Versailles in France. She married a very, very wealthy man and she lived a very interesting life. I just loved the backstory behind this sampler. The colours may not be showing very well on this sampler and I need to remove it from this board. I've had a little peek in one corner, but I need to remove it properly. There are some beautiful colours that you can just see in this sampler, might not be showing in the light. There's a beautiful bluey, greeny, grey thread there. It's been very interesting to see that when I expose the back. It's a very pretty sampler. When that's reproduced, I think I'm going to use the colours from the back, and I can't wait to chart and stitch that. This is going to go on my wall of needlework from distant shores. I'm getting together a lot of samplers now from different countries. Okay, so this week I've spent a huge amount of time on prepping for our next red box. That is well underway. We had the first delivery of one of the bespoke goodies that are in the box. So I have a huge number of boxes in my haul at the moment. It came on one of these massive lorries. No way of getting it down our drive, so all the boxes had to be hand carried down the drive. I was so glad that our gardener was here that day and helped me. That was a lot of work. All the goodies in the next red box are bespoke and they are exclusive to the box. They won't be produced again. It's all coming together so beautifully. I'm very excited. The week ahead, I hope to get good stitching in, lots of walking with the boys, and some more charting as well. And yeah, I expect the week will go very quickly. On Tuesday, the builders start 8:15 in the morning. They're going to be here on Tuesday. They were meant to start a few weeks ago, but with Cornish builders, you can't expect them to turn up on the first date they give you. But they have assured me that they will be here at 8:15 on Tuesday morning. They're going to be literally gutting my craft room, and I can't wait for it to be finished now. I hope they finish before Christmas, but you don't know. You never know with Cornish builders. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'm going to get those boys out for a walk. Until next week, stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.